lies, power, and corruption. These tend to go hand in hand with the presidential office. But enough about the current political climate. Let's head back to the 70s. The pants were wide and the hair was groovy. Nixon was in office, but things were looking a little shaky due to the events that transpired at the Hotel Watergate. Watergate is a two-player card-driven game in which players will take on opposing roles in the Watergate scandal. One player will take on the role of a newspaper editor, trying to uncover enough evidence to pin the president to the crime. The other will take on the role of Nixon and his administration, trying to outlast the press's investigation and gather enough momentum to ride out the term. At the beginning of each round, the initiative and momentum tokens are placed on the zero space of the research track, along with 3 evidence tokens, which only the Nixon player will have knowledge of. Players will draw their hand of cards and alternate playing a single card on their turn until both players' hands are depleted. Every card consists of 2 parts, and when played, you will decide which parts to utilize. In the upper left is the value part. If utilized, you can move the initiative token, momentum token, or the matching evidence token the indicated number of spaces on the research track. The middle section of the card is the action part. To use it, simply follow the instructions as written. The Saturday Night Massacre card, as an example, lets you move the initiative token and all evidence tokens to the zero space, and then move 1 evidence token 1 spot. Once all players have exhausted their hands, the round is over. Any tokens on your side of the research track are claimed. Evidence tokens are placed on the board. It must be placed on a matching space. The newspaper editor places the evidence token face up, while the Nixon player places it face down. The newspaper editor wins the game if they manage to connect 2 sources to the president via a trail of face-up evidence tokens. The momentum token is claimed and placed on your player card. Nixon wins the game if he manages to claim 5 of these tokens. The initiative token will let you go first in the next round and draw 5 cards instead of 4. I've tried my hand at card-driven games in the past, which are defined by their decision to choose between activating the event on the card or using generic points as you see fit. But I've always seemed to bounce off of them. It never sat well with me how often I was blindsided by a card or an action that I had absolutely no way of knowing was even possible. I was quick to dismiss them as just take-that games disguised in historical garb, but I may have to reconsider that stance after having played Watergate. Don't get me wrong, I still had moments where I just had to read my opponent's card again to convince myself that it was actually happening. By the end of the first game, I had been victim to plenty of gotcha moments. But I had also seen every card, and some of them multiple times. By limiting the card pool size, Watergate doesn't feel like it's asking me to memorize a textbook worth of information just to be competent. By the second game, I was already cognizant of which cards I needed to be wary of. Furthermore, by separating the cards into 2 distinct decks, one for each player, I found it easier to internalize which cards had been played and which hadn't. For some players, this may be a failing, but I've never enjoyed memorizing card catalogs or tile manifests. I generally play from the gut, and this type of mastery just never appealed to me. So if that's what you're looking for in a game, Watergate might not exactly fit the bill, but don't be so quick to dismiss. The card play is fine and dandy, but the real star of the show is the research track. The objective is clear: get as much stuff to your side as possible. But it becomes immediately evident that getting everything to your side is nearly impossible. You're going to have to make some tough decisions, and you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Because every token is useful, even if it doesn't meet your win condition, it's painful to watch your opponent claim one. It's like playing tug of war with 3 different ropes with one hand tied behind your back and the other person spraying water in your face. Difficult, stressful, and kind of fun. It's this hard-fought battle of inches that is the soul of Watergate. It's a great feat that Watergate manages to evoke the panic and frustration of both roles in such a compact and straightforward package. It doesn't have to model the intricacies of research gathering and source vetting to make you feel like a crack-shot reporting team. Every time Nixon blocks off your leads, you curse under your breath as the truth is warped around you. Every time he captures a momentum token, you start sweating as you feel the public's ire petering out. It doesn't have to get into the nitty-gritty of covering up lies and spinning your story to the public in order to make you feel like a desperate man clinging to power. Whenever the press uncovers another piece of evidence, you feel the walls closing in. Every time they keep the initiative, you can see the time ticking before your eventual downfall. What impresses me most about Watergate is how it manages to maintain a sense of urgency throughout the game, even when you end up winning. Because victory isn't as clear as I win, you lose, it's a matter of give and take, with the hope that you didn't give what you should have taken.